Good morning, students. I welcome you all for commerce class.
Impact of liberalization. Impact means outcome of liberalization. So this outcome of liberalization on Indian economy was well appreciable. Appreciable means in relation to the phenomenal growth by contributing $1.3 trillion to the world GDP. GDP means gross domestic product. So also the Indian economy, because it was the seventh largest among the world leading economies. Which Indian economy? So after liberalization, it was the seventh leading economies in the world. Second point is liberalization has opened up new business opportunities abroad and increased foreign direct investment. They started to open up business in foreign countries. Next one is new market for various goods came into existence and resulted not only in urban areas but also the development was felt in rural areas. It became very easy to obtain loans from banks for business expansion, and also foreign collaboration is the latest outcome of liberalization. They add collaboration with foreign countries. Then a number of multinational companies started operating worldwide, including India. So MNCs started to grow up in India as well as outside India. That's all about the impact of liberalization. Next, we'll move on with privatization. That is meaning and forms of privatization, and then we'll move on with advantages and disadvantages of privatization. So, meaning of privatization. Privatization is the incidence or process of transferring ownership of a business enterprise, agencies, or public service from the government to the private sector, giving free hand for the private sector business people, not controlling by the government. So private sector is to set up industries which were previously reserved for the public sector. Under this policy, many public sector units were sold to private sector. So since public sector they were not flourished, it was sold to the hands of the private sector business people. So the main reason for privatization was that the public sector units were running in losses due to mismanagement and political interference. So the managers could not work independently, and for this reason the production capacity also remained underutilized. So in order to increase the competition and efficiency, privatization of public sector units became very important. Some public sector units were recently privatized. They are as follows: that is Bharat Aluminium Co. Limited, Hindustan Zinc Limited, Indian Petrochemicals Corporation Limited, then Maruti Udyog Limited, then Modern Food Industries Limited MFIL. So these companies were under public control, and then it was left to the hands of the private sectors. India Scooters Limited, the first ever company privatized in India. Next, we shall move on with forms of privatization. The first form of privatization is contraction of public sectors, that is minimization of public sectors. Why? Because of losses suffered under public sectors. The number of industries reserved for public sector was reduced day by day from 17 to only 8 industries, which is arms and ammunition, atomic energy, coal and lignite, mineral oils, mining of ores, mining of copper, lead, zinc, etc., minerals for atomic energy, and railways. Only these industries are left in the hands of the public, that is government. Other industries are normally slowly they left in the hands of the private sectors. Currently only atomic energy, defense and railways are government monopoly industries, that is public sector industries in our country. Next form is sale of shares of public sectors to private sectors. Indian government started selling shares of public sector units to public and financial institution because of losses they suffered. Now the private sector, what they will do is they will acquire the ownership of these public sector units by purchasing the shares of public sector units. So the share of private sector has increased from 45% to 55% in the year 2011 and after. Next we'll move on with Memorandum of Understanding. MOU system was introduced in the year 1991 in order to raise the productivity and performances of public sector units. In order to raise means what? To increase. So it strengthens the relationship between public sector units and administrative departments. So the main work of MOU is to judge, is to measure the PSUs and the level of their performance. PSUs means public sector units. Next form is disinvestment in public sector units. Why there was no investment in public sector units? That's what we are going to see. The government has started the process of disinvestment in those public sector units which had been running into loss. Because of loss, they started not to invest in the public sector units. It means that government has been selling out these industries to private sectors. So normally there was no investment seen. So disinvestment is the system of privatizing government enterprise. Next we'll move on with advantages and disadvantages of privatization. First, advantages. The first advantage is increase in efficiency. Privatization is associated with improved efficiency due to profit incentive. So private companies started to run the companies in order at the profit motive only. So this will ensure that they improve their operational efficiency in order to reduce their costs and improve in profits. Next advantage is professional management. Professional management means the management work is carried on by professionals who are qualified and they are selected, recruited according to the qualification. Since the government owned enterprises make poor economic management compared to private owned enterprises, this reason is because of the fear of negative publicity. As a reason, private ownership makes bold management decisions due to their strong foundation at international level. Next advantage is increase in competition. So privatization of state owned monopolies occurs alongside deregulation, that is policies to allow more firms to enter the industry and increase the competitiveness of the market. They are trying to allow more industries to be flourished. It is this increase in competition that can be the greatest spur to improvements in efficiencies. Next advantage is reduction in economic burden of government. So the burden of the government is being reduced since the ownership, control and management of many public sector units are transferred to private. The burden and responsibility of the government has been comparatively reduced. Next we'll move on with disadvantages of privatization. After privatizing the units of public sector, what are the demerits the economy faced? That's what we are going to discuss now. First one is lack of welfare, that is lack of improvement. Majority of private companies whose main motive is profit making only. So they do not indulge in activities like promoting public interest or welfare services like free education to poor, free medical treatment, etc. So this is a demerit in the privatization. For example, when we move on to private hospital, in case of any emergency for medical treatment, the expense is more when compared to government hospitals. The government hospitals, they give free treatment. Next disadvantage is political pressure. When private companies fail to deliver, the public has no powers to intervene and government does not always have time or expertise to force them to keep their promises. So often if they are going in a wrong way or when they are in certain misunderstanding with the government sector, normally political pressure will be on the concerned private sectors. Next disadvantage is ignores the weaker sections. So normally the private sectors, they are very intellectual and they try to earn more profit. They make rich people recruited and also they concentrate only on rich areas. So, privatization often goes hand in hand with encouraging richer people to pay more and opt for the best quality services. This leads to division, making it harder to provide excellent public services for weaker sections of the society. Weaker sections means who? The poor people. So the poor people will not be benefited through these private sectors. With this, we are completing this part, students. We'll meet tomorrow. Thank you.